I'm going to talk about the new Renee Zellweger movie, Judy. There will be some spoilers. Not a ton, but some. If you don't know how this story plays out and you don't want to know, don't watch this review. Like I said, it's not going to be heavy on the spoilers. I'm not going to go into deep detail, but just in case, spoiler warning. Hi guys, my name's Tori. For those of you who don't know me, this is my Wizard of Oz collection vlog, and I just saw Judy, the Renee Zellweger film about the end of Judy Garland's amazing, somewhat tragic life. It was a singular experience unlike anything I've ever experienced. I was concerned that Renee Zellweger would not be able to suspend my disbelief. She is a wicked talented actress. Nobody could deny that. But Judy is so Judy. She's so to herself. She is so unique and one of a kind that it's hard to suspend my disbelief and get absorbed. Even like Judy Davis, for example, who played her in the made-for-TV movie Me and My Shadows, who was fabulous. I had moments where I was like, this is an actress playing Judy Garland. Sitting in the theater tonight, watching Renee Zellweger play Judy Garland, I totally forgot that I was watching an actress play an actress. From her body language, for those of you who are not familiar with that period in Judy's life, at the end of her life, she was underweight. She was hunched over, clearly in decline. Her teeth were rotting. Her body was just giving up because her parents started drugging her when she was a little girl. And this is a common myth that MGM put her on the drugs. That's not the case. Her mother was already giving her amphetamines before she even went to the studio. So she was already a drug addict by the time she began her career at MGM. And your body can only take so much abuse. And they touched on this in the film. She would work and this was typical of the contracted workers at MGM. They would work these long hours, these long stretches, hyped up on drugs. They would get then a sleeping pill to help them come down for a few hours and then boom, back to it. I've heard some reports say that they would work sometimes up to 72 hours straight. So their bodies were pushed to the absolute limits of what humans are capable of doing. And she was a little girl, and girls are already sensitive and need encouragement and need to feel secure. And the problems at home were so profound, and then being thrust into this world where adult men were in charge of her. She didn't stand a chance. But anyway, Renee Zellweger's performance was truly... I forgot I was watching somebody else. And let me just say, Renee Zellweger singing sounds nothing like Judy's singing. Absolutely not. And I thought that might take me out of it. But in the very first concert scene, I wept. It was like seeing her. The way she moved, which her movement was very specific at that time in her life. The way she held her microphone cord and would throw it over her shoulder, and the way that she would move, which was very at that point jittery, and she never stopped moving. It was hard to watch, because watching her in interviews in this period of her life is very hard to watch. It is somebody who is obviously addicted and uncomfortable, and Renee Zellweger nailed that. So we don't see her death, and I was glad of that. I didn't want to see that because I was so engrossed. I think that would have absolutely broken my heart. Not that it's not heartbreaking enough. What was truly extraordinary about this experience, I'm sorry, I'm going to get emotional. I was in a full theater full of people. And I don't know how attached they are to Judy, to the Wizard of Oz, to the mythos of Judy Garland. I don't know. I knew that I would feel that emotional attachment going into it. When the movie ended, I'm sorry, because I've just never seen anything like it. When the movie ended, nobody moved. Nobody clapped. Nobody did anything. Nobody made a sound. It was silent. You could hear a pin drop. All you heard was sniffling and sobbing. It was like this whole room full of people was saying goodbye to her. I've never seen anything like it. I was so moved because it felt like she was getting the honor that she deserved. A whole room full of people in the 21st century who rarely look up from their phones, sat in absolute silence and cried for this woman who has been dead for a good long time. Most of the people in that theater were not alive when she died, myself included. But the whole room sat reverently still until the credits finished and the lights came up, and then just stood up. Still silent, not a sound. Nobody talked to each other. I mean, and this is gonna sound like an exaggeration because I've literally never seen anything like this in my life. Nobody made a sound. Nobody went, that was great. Nothing. Silence as we filed out of the theater. It was like we were at a funeral saying goodbye to a friend. That's how impactful it was. And I wanted to get this on film while it still felt fresh to me. So I'm sorry for being so emotional. But it was a once in a lifetime experience. It was like we were there with her. I think she would be very moved because it was honest. It was a raw, honest portrayal, but it did not make fun of her, and it did not blame her for her sickness, which was not her fault. And a lot of people made her a joke at that time in her life because people didn't understand what she had been through, really. They were just starting to see the damage of the contract years of movie studios. Stories were starting to become known of how the actors were treated and what was expected of them and these crazy standards that they had to live up to. This whole room full of strangers wept openly for this woman who gave of herself in such a real and raw way. I think she touched audiences because of how genuine she was. Every time she sang, you knew she meant it. And I really feel like Renee Zellweger nailed that. The story of Judy Garland in the last year of her life is the story of a woman who is working for her children and trying to do right by her family. And it's so relatable and so universal. As a working single mother, I get it. You do anything to do what you can, the best for your kids. I was so moved. The performances were wonderful. Renee Zellweger basically carried the movie by herself. There are ancillary characters, but their roles are so minor. The crux of the emotional story is her. Just all her. It does briefly touch on her marriage to Mickey Deans and what a runaway marriage that was. It does briefly feature Sid Luft. And he is such a complex character, such a complex figure. But it shows how far down the rabbit hole she fell in terms of she was homeless, she was destitute, she had nowhere for her kids to stay, she was sleeping on people's couches, she was performing in nightclubs for $100 here and there. She was really lost. And unfortunately never found her way over the rainbow again. So obviously I liked it. But beyond that, it wasn't just a great film, which it was. This movie was a love letter to Judy and really did her justice. I think if Judy saw it, she'd be proud that somebody finally expressed her pain. Obviously, she suffered, but she was also really funny. She had a lot of triumphs, too, that I don't think get acknowledged enough. So, I wish they had done a little more of that. The performances were wonderful. And it is really a character-driven, performance-driven film. There's not a lot of spectacle. It's not a big production movie with lots of numbers. It's about a woman holding her shit together at the end of a difficult life. It's the story of a woman and the irrepressible maternal spirit. And I loved it. Renee Zellweger deserves the Academy Award. I hope she flippin' gets it. She'd better at least get nominated for making an entire audience cry and sit silent. I've never seen anything like it, and I don't think I ever will again. I felt honored to be there. It was like she was channeled for a hot minute with us. To be in a collective of people who felt the same way. And like I said, I didn't talk to anyone, and nobody else was talking. It was just a feeling. I can't really describe it. I wish I had better words for it, but it was unbelievable. Please do yourself a favor and go see it if you can. It was incredible. And I know it opens nationwide tomorrow. Check it out. If you're a fan of Judy Garland, it will touch you deeply. And even if you're just a passing fan, it will impact you. Well done to the filmmakers, to Renee Zellweger. You will, I'm sure, receive accolades, and they will be well deserved. Thank you. Thank you. This is what she deserved. A room full of people honoring her. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to stop crying now, I promise. If you're new here, please subscribe. I've been an Oz fan collector all my life, and I make fun videos about the Oz fandom. Links below for our Twitter and our Instagram and our Facebook. Join us on all of our platforms. And tune in next time where hopefully I will not be crying. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good night.